This is Still in the Game, and I'm Samson Olede. Thanks for staying tuned. It's now time to delve into mixed martial arts, talking about combat sports, and it's all about the announcement that broke forth yesterday. A surprising one, rather, for so many, considering South Africa's Dricus du Plessis was meant to be the next opponent for Israel Adesanya's middleweight crown right there at the UFC, but that's not going to happen, as Sean Strickland will be the new opponent for the Nigerian New Zealander, who will be hoping to defend his title. Remember, he reclaimed the title following that stunning knockout victory over his nemesis, you want to call him, or long-time rival, Alex Pereira right there, who has since moved up to the light heavyweight division of the UFC. And this bout will be taking place in September. That will be UFC 293 in Sydney. And this will be taking place in September as the main event. For du Plessis, it says he is injured and will not be able to fight Adesanya, and that's why Sean Strickland is the new opponent for the Nigerian. Joining me to discuss this and more is Afolabi Ojabowale, the editor of MMA Planet. Afolabi, good morning. It's good to have you on the show this morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Let's get off to it, because there's so much that we have so much to talk about, especially even in in terms of Clarissa Shields also being part of the mixed martial arts. Let's start with Israel Adesanya quickly. What was your initial reaction to that announcement? Everyone expected du Plessis. It was injured, wasn't available. You were looking at the next available opponent. Was it Sean Strickland for you?
Yes. So there's one thing about Adesanya. At every point in time, there's always one or two opponents waiting in line for him to fight. So right after the Alex Pereira fight, the next person he wanted to fight was du Plessis, if he could get through Robert Whittaker, and he did do that. But Sean Strickland also fought like a week before, and he's one of those fighters that Adesanya has not beaten before in the division. So it was only right that when Dricus du Plessis did not take up the fight because of injury or because of the short preparation time, Sean Strickland had to be the next person.
Okay, let's look at this matchup now, because it throws up a different ball game entirely. We're expecting two Africans to lock horns. I'm talking about du Plessis as well as Adesanya, but right now it's Strickland. Strickland definitely differs from Adesanya in terms of fighting styles and how he grapples or wrestles, as it were. Looking at both styles, how do you think this pans out, really? Because it's still difficult to tell. Yes, we know quite well the bout is in September, but the announcement has generated reactions among fighters and even pundits alike. How do you think the contrasting styles of both fighters will affect or impact the game itself?
So the first difference is du Plessis fights differently from Sean Strickland. Du Plessis is is not technical in any bit. It throws everything with power, and he has this rough style, as opposed to Sean Strickland, who likes to be like a clean technical boxer. He mostly fights behind the jab. He likes to do things, picture perfect like a boxer, but he also has grappling skills. Will his grappling skills be able to match up against Israel Adesanya's takedown defense? I don't think so. Even on paper, I don't really see that match as being as competitive as the fight against Dricus du Plessis. But it's the fight game; anything can happen.
Okay, we'll definitely have more to talk about when the bout draws nearer. But let's turn our attention now to Clarissa Shields, and that's because it's a massive announcement that broke forth last night. No one was expecting that. Considering there were talks of a rematch with Savannah Marshall in boxing, among others. But boxing's undisputed. Some have touted her as the greatest woman of all time. She signed a deal, with the Professional Fighters League. And that means she will be fighting mixed martial arts in 2024. For the PFL, this is another major win, having signed Francis Ngannou, the former heavyweight champion of the UFC, a few months ago. What does this make? What impact does this have on, mixed martial arts as a whole? That's one. And two, for PFL as a brand itself.
So in the last couple of months, the PFL has been making amazing moves. They've been signing world-class fighters. They signed Francis Ngannou. They've extended. They are planning to extend to Africa to do PSL Africa. They've now signed Clarissa Shields. So Clarissa Shields' decision to sign with the PFL is surprising to many because you don't really see many boxers moving to MMA, right? Most MMA fighters are the ones who want to go into boxing. But this decision by her it's a boss move, so to speak, because you're going from a sport where you have just one major tool, and now you're moving to mixed martial arts where you have to defend against takedowns, where you have to defend against kicks, where you have to use your elbows. There's a whole lot more tools that you have to defend against. And well, if she succeeds in mixed martial arts, she just cements her place as the greatest woman of all time.
Okay. Well, she's had 2 bouts in the mixed martial arts, won one, lost one. You think the goal for her is to hold belts simultaneously, both in mixed martial arts and boxing. Definitely in boxing, that's undisputed. She is the greatest woman of all time. If she's able to do that as well in mixed martial arts, do you think that would really place her as the greatest when it comes to women in mixed martial arts, considering you have the likes of Holly Holm, who has also been there, done that, as it's often said?
Yeah, so if she holds both belts simultaneously, there will be a great argument to be made. The argument will eventually now be what's the quality of opponents she's facing, because someone like Amanda Nunes fought against everyone in the UFC. But if you're in the PFL, the competition is not as safe as it will be if it was in the UFC. But the PFL is a good place for her to start. Once she starts her career there, fights out her contract, maybe 7-8 fights, she can move on to the UFC or something to fight against stiffer competition. But for now, it's a very good start for her career, for her MMA career. And if she can find a way to, PFL is a good place in the sense that they allowed their fighters a whole lot more freedom. If she signed with the UFC, she would not be able to compete in boxing anymore. So with that, the PFL is doing a good job. And well, if she can hold belts simultaneously in boxing and MMA, that would be an amazing feat, no doubt.
Okay, finally, let me ask you this, because we know quite well that the rivalry is there. The UFC is #1, no doubt, in mixed martial arts in terms of organizations, but the likes of Bellator, One Championship, PFL, they're all in the mix for the running. With the recent moves of the PFL, signing Ngannou, signing Clarissa Shields, do you really think that the PFL has what it takes to challenge the UFC as the #1 body or institution right there in mixed martial arts?
Right now, no. But in a couple of years, if they keep making these moves, keep making these improvements, they will give the UFC a run for their money. And the reason why the UFC is #1, it's not just because they have the best fighters in the world. It's because they put infrastructure in place. They have training institutes in Mexico. They have training institutes in China. They give new fight. They have the Dana White Contender Series, where you see amateur fighters or people just starting their career come into the UFC. We've seen fighters like the Bonfim brothers that all they had to do was just come on the Dana White Contender Series and then show. So the difference is the UFC has a deep talent pool as opposed to the PFL. So, but if the PFL keeps their investments coming in, then they should get there someday soon.
Okay, thank you very much for your time on the show this morning, Afolabi.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, don't have a great